Hi, welcome to Life Expressions. I'm your host, Shari Hinete Elon. I'm thrilled to celebrate a major milestone with you. Life Expressions is turning 4 this month. A huge thank you to all our amazing subscribers, followers, and listeners who have been with us on this journey. Today's episode is part of our series on Ignite Your Spark Masterclass, which stands for service, purpose, attraction, resilience, and knowing. This episode focuses on the transformative power of service, a concept that deeply aligns with the Spark philosophy and inspired today's conversation. We're being joined today by Tasneem Damji. Tasneem is the founder of Tasneem Damji Coaching, dedicated to helping families navigate the college application process with confidence. She empowers teens to plan their post high school journeys and provides pro bono support to Afghan women in Canada. Through the Spark of Hope Foundation, she mentors female students from war torn and poverty stricken countries pursuing higher education. With a background in the nonprofit sector, Tasneem has always been driven by service, guiding students, empowering women, and fostering success beyond adversity. Welcome to the podcast, Tasneem. You were part of the second masterclass of Ignite Your Spark. It's an honor to have you with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It is really nice to reflect on how service has impacted my life.
I'd also like to warmly welcome our regular guests for the series, Ignite Your Spark facilitator Azim Jamal and team member of the Ignite Your Spark series, Farzana Kherani. It's wonderful to have you both back.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
Let's start with a quick round of reflections. Azim, could you share a story or thought that highlights the importance of service in your life?
So I can think of a story that in 1997, I had a call when I used to be an accountant with 3 degrees to go to Karachi to do some budgeting for the Afghan refugees. I put my hand up and I went and I spent 6 weeks, and that changed my life. What happened in that incident made me reflect on my life, and I changed my career from accounting for business to accounting for life, and I jumped off the cliff backwards, and it's never been the same since then. I actually found my purpose, which everybody looks for in their whole life and never finds it. And I found it in a small, tiny hut, interviewing the refugees who were going through some war-torn, circumstances. So yeah, I think the message is put your hand up. And once you put your hand up, you never know what to expect because we are born to serve. We are hardwired to serve. We have an innate need to serve. And when you serve, you open your spark. It's the key, the ignition to spark.
Yeah. How about you, Tasneem?
There are many stories, but one that really, I think, stands out for me is I believe it was 2009. A friend of mine who I had met while working in Tajikistan contacted me. I was living in Canada, and she told me about a little girl who was born in the Pamirs, in a very remote part of the country, a mountainous region. And she was born with weak hip joints. And the doctors they told the parents that she will never walk and to really give up on her. And my friend told me about her, and I had had some experience raising funds for different causes that meant something to me. And at that time, I had just become a mother for the first time, and I could feel what this mother must have been feeling when the doctors told her what they thought about her daughter. And I decided to reach out to other mothers, to other parents, to grandparents who also this story would tug at their heart. And we raised money for her to have surgery. And I did not know some years later I was going to move to Tajikistan, and I was going to meet her. And when I met her, my son was 3. She was about 3.5 or 4, or maybe a little older. And she was running around in a park in the center in Dushanbe. And I spoke with the mom, and she thanked me. And I said, if you were in the same situation, you would have done the same thing for me. And when I asked her, this little girl, what she wanted to do when she grew up, she said she wanted to be a dancer.
Oh, wow.
And now she is about 17, and she's had a number of surgeries since then. I've got to spend some great time with her. And so that's probably one of the stories that really stands out.
Yeah, your help allowed her to have that great trajectory of her life. Yes.
Mhm.
And how about you, Farzana? What's been an experience that reaffirmed the value of service for you?
There's lots of stories, but I can reflect on one that I think made a little bit more of an impact on me. In 2015, I had an opportunity to volunteer and be a part of a big organization for the Somali community. And we have this fortunate structure where we're actually interviewing people to give loans for students or people who want to continue their education. And I met up with our member and another person who was very much interested in wanting to get this loan and went through this interview process. And, you could hear their story and you were just hoping and praying and that they would have this opportunity to actually get this loan because we knew that this would be so impactful for them. We shared our side of our story and told them exactly why we thought it was really important. And fortunately for her, she got this loan. And shortly after, she reached out to us and said, you have transformed my life so much that I want to now pay it forward. What can I do to help? Right. And so that form of service of just, meeting people and connecting with people and helping them, and then them wanting to come back and do the same. It's so wonderful and so impactful for all of us.
Azim, could you share your perspective on how service transforms lives, especially through the lens of Spark?
Yeah, I think if you look at the story of Tasneem and Farzana and myself, I think you can see three important things. Although when you go to serve, you are trying to help others, but directly or indirectly, you're being helped. So three things happen. Number one, when you try to aspire, the universe conspires to help you. Secondly, as you try to transform the lives of others, your life gets transformed. And thirdly, in my case, my vocation became my vacation because I found my calling and my gift that I enjoy to do. So my work is a fun. So while you're trying to help others, you ignite your spark within and you ignite the spark of others around you. And all these three stories tell you how everybody needs a little nudge. The small girl in Tajikistan needed a nudge from the team to create the transformation. In Farzana's case, giving a loan to somebody who couldn't start a business or some kind of venture gives them a great start in life. So all we have to do is be willing to do that, and then the wheel starts to go in motion, right? And this is where the spark gets ignited.
Yes. And when you say spark, it's having that joy in yourself that you're living and you're making a positive impact towards others. It just makes your daily life more inspiring and more meaningful.
You have a twinkle in your eye, your brows are unwrinkled, you have a smile on your face, your heart is open, there's an echo in your voice, a spring in your step, and you're
Yeah.
glowing and flowing and oozing with energy that people resonate with, and you make an impact even without doing anything because the energy that you emanate by who you are as a person, and that comes from within, right? And it comes from
Yes.
service, so to speak.
I like that. Tasneem, you've had a remarkable journey in service. What are some of the pivotal moments that defined your path, apart from, of course, that story of a little girl that you helped?
I have written a timeline because I had to go back to when this journey started for me. And um, it actually started in 1996 at a time when I wasn't sure about my life. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. I had just graduated from the University of British Columbia. I had gone into a program that was expected of me. It wasn't a program that I enjoyed, but I stuck with it for 4 years because at that time I didn't think I could change. I didn't want to disappoint anyone. But
What was
when
the
I
program?
it was a bachelor's of science in psychology, but it was science to pursue medicine. And I realized that the only two courses I really enjoyed and did well in actually were anthropology and psychology. Now it makes total sense once I told my full story, but
Yeah.
at the time I didn't know. And when I finished UBC, I realized medical school was not for me. I didn't want to do that. And I needed to figure out who I was and what I wanted to do. And so I actually went to a panel discussion, and someone talked about volunteering abroad. And I thought, oh, this seems interesting. You know, I was maybe about 21, invincible, not scared of anything. And I thought, let me try this. And I ended up going to a place that I'd never been to before, didn't speak the language, didn't know anyone from there. My family wasn't from there. I went to Karachi, Pakistan, so similar to Azim. And I went there to volunteer with an organization. You know, there were as many people who go abroad, there are, and just in life, there are always ups and downs. And what I went for didn't actually work out, but I did end up meeting someone who I told my story to, and she said, "Why don't you come and help me? I'm about to start a school health education project with the Aga Khan University." And I said, okay. And I volunteered with her and then ended up working with her for about a year and a half. On this school health education project where we were trying to integrate health into the primary curriculum. And so if kids were learning English, they could talk about a health topic. If they were learning math, they can count oranges and apples. And we got to work in so many different environments, private schools, public schools, slum areas, community-based schools where there were mostly Afghan refugees there. And I just really loved it. We worked with teachers, we worked with parents, we worked with students, and I had such a great mentor. And this really sparked, for lack of a better word, but the best word, it really sparked um, my kind of now understanding of what I wanted to do. So public health was something that really interested in me now. And so I went to pursue a master's degree in public health focused on refugees, based on this experience that started off with service. Once I finished my degree, I ended up doing an internship with the Aga Khan Foundation in Tajikistan, in the Pamirs, where this little girl that I talked about earlier is from. And I was working on public health programs, but I also made friends there who were from there. And many of them would ask me, you know, we'd like to study abroad. Can you help us apply? And I thought, well, I've never done this before, but I have studied, you know, in Canada and in the US. I know how to apply. And I said, okay, I'll help you. We didn't have internet at that time. It was 2001. We had these little small college books, and I would spend evenings and weekends with them, helping them. I didn't really know what came out of it until um, decades later. Well, no, until a decade later, when I had moved back to Canada, and then in 2011 I moved back to Tajikistan. And I was working in a different organization, but I met some of these people that I had helped, but I really didn't know what happened. And then many of them told me that they actually did go study abroad, and they had done their bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, PhDs. And one of them, who's now actually a very good friend of mine, she lives in New Jersey, she said that she took a handout that I wrote on essay writing to her master's degree. She went to do a degree in sociology at Columbia University in New York. I didn't even remember that I wrote this handout. And it was at that moment where I realized, wow, you know, something that I did just, you know, to help some friends of mine actually made an impact on them.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I think about it now, uh, because of that, and after hearing that, my professional journey changed, and I became a high school teacher. I taught high school at an international school in Tajikistan. I also was a workshop facilitator for different international organizations. I taught courses for students wanting to apply to universities abroad. And it all came from service. And now when I think about what I do professionally, which you mentioned in the bio, it all came from service. Um, but not with me going into this kind of service journey expecting something. Now something that, I, at the end of my degree, uncertain of my life, not knowing where I wanted to go, um, and then figuring it out on my own, trying new things, getting out of my comfort zone, turned into something I'm doing decades later as a profession, helping students apply to universities.
That's wonderful. Can you definitely say that you are happy and thriving at what you're doing now?
I am, because uh, it's interesting. I am very happy doing this. It takes time. Having a business is not something that is easy. And the Spark Masterclass actually came at a really good time for me, because I had just been laid off from a full-time job. And it was the opportunity for me to think, okay, what do I want to do in my life now that has a real meaningful impact? And so it got me thinking about what it is I like to do. And what I really am passionate about is empowering young people to make decisions about their next steps in life based on their own interest, something that I didn't do when I went to university, right? And so it all, you don't know where this all fits into the larger picture. I've done so many different things with my profession that I remember once when I was in Tajikistan, my mom sent me a message. I think it was on Messenger or something. Like, we didn't really have internet that much there. But she said to me, she goes, "Can you just tell me in one sentence what you do?" And it was very hard because I was doing so many different things. But now, being able to reflect on it years later, they are all connected, and it's all started from my own journey.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'd like to share that has a real impact on me right now is my work with the Spark of Hope Foundation. Just so happens to also have the same word as the
Yes.
Masterclass. I don't think that is a coincidence. And what I get to do right now is talk to students, young women from around the world who are getting scholarships from this foundation, and really help them, coach them in their academic studies, in making sure that they succeed, and then plan their next steps. And just this morning, I got a WhatsApp message from one of the scholars who is studying at the University of Central Asia in Kyrgyzstan. And we had spoken a couple weeks ago as my check-in, and she was applying for various opportunities. And I said, let me know if you'd like to practice for an interview when you get one. And she wrote to me today saying she got invited for an interview for a semester abroad exchange program in the US. And can I help her prepare for that interview? And so it's just, talking about it, my heart melts, because I get to do this.
That's wonderful.
And yeah, I love it.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Tasneem. Farzana, you've also contributed extensively to service projects. How have your experiences shaped your perspective on the importance of giving back?
That's such a great question, Sherry. I would say, it enriches your life in a very different way. And it gives you purpose, and it allows you to connect with people and share ideas that positively impact not just your perspective for the rest of your life, but others' perspective for the rest of their life. And you're helping a community grow, and you grow as a person. So and you also find a better way to fit in the world, right? When you're providing that service, there's a connection, and that connection doesn't stay for a short period of time. It's forever.
Yeah.
And just recently I got connected to doing something, a small stint project that we're working on in our Jamaat kind of spaces. And I met someone online who's also helping, but I haven't spoken to them in probably 8 years. And I had started doing volunteer work with them that long ago, but I hadn't seen them or talked to them. And so it was really nice to just see them again on a screen and be like, yeah, I know a lot of these people. I used to work with a lot of these people. So that connection continues all the time.
Yeah, it is indeed a rewarding experience when after you have done something and you will know years later the impact that it has done to the person that you have served or helped. Even just a simple conversation that ignites that little spark within them is already service. But Azim, could you integrate these stories and share how service gives meaning and spark to a person's life? Of course, we have already known the feeling, the enriching feeling, but how about in a person's life?
Yeah, I think, when you come from that source, you see the spark, as I mentioned in the masterclass, is that it's not depending on circumstances. Spark does not depend on outside factors. Spark depends on what's inside you. And that spark inside you does not get impacted by anything else but you. So when you come from that source that I want to be a person of impact, we'll talk about later on in our sessions next time around about purpose, right? When you come, this is my purpose, this is my ultimate purpose credo, this is my life, and then I align everything in my life towards that, then you attract circumstances, accidents, events to get you there. If you look at the story that Farzana shared and Tasneem shared, they attract somebody you haven't met for 8 years, attract somebody in Tajikistan, attract somebody in Karachi. How does it happen? Attract spark of hope. Recently I met the CEO of Spark of Hope in Vancouver. Sherry, I think I'd introduced you as well to them. So all these connections happen because you attract, and attract comes from desire, from aspiration to serve, right? So I think the connection between service and spark is very powerful because to me it's the ignition. That's what starts the engine, right?
Yes, yes. What's next for you, Tasneem?
Oh, good question. Actually, I think something that I have learned in my time abroad and also working here in Canada in a different role in women's empowerment with immigrant women, what I have realized is I actually have a superpower, and that superpower is being able to interact with people of different cultural backgrounds. And I thought that was just something everyone did. And it wasn't until I was actually asked to interview for a position years ago that I didn't actually fit all the qualifications. And I asked why they asked me to interview, and they said, we can train you on all these things, but it's the lived experience that you have interacting with people of different cultural backgrounds. It was a program for immigrant women. And until she said that, I didn't realize that I had that gift. And actually, what's really interesting is a couple days ago, I was speaking to one of the scholars as part of my role with the Spark of Hope Foundation, and she is currently studying at the University of Central Asia in Tajikistan, but doing an exchange program in the US. And we were talking. Just so happens to be that her mother was a very good friend of mine when I first lived there, and I held her as a newborn
Wow.
baby. It was the weirdest thing to meet her. She's now 24 years old or something like that, or 20 years old. And I don't know why, but for some reason I told her, obviously I have a connection, a really deep connection with Tajikistan for many reasons. And I said one of my dreams, and I just mentioned it to her, is to teach at the University of Central Asia. But I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that. I don't know if I can live there right now for long term. My son is in high school, my daughter's in school. And she said, she asked me, she said, what would you teach? And I said, well, I don't have background in the fields of study that they teach, global economics and environmental studies, but what I can teach are intercultural communication and how to interact and work with people from different cultural backgrounds. And she started telling me about some of the other courses they do take, like sociology, and they have a preparatory program where they talk about ethics and life skills. And so she said, you need to talk to the associate dean. Here's their email address. She's going to send me the curriculum, and I'm really excited to maybe create something
That's
for
wonderful.
myself. So
Yeah.
that's kind of one of my next steps that's really getting me excited.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Tasneem. How about you, Farzana? What's next for you, especially that you keep on living the power of service in your life?
I think just continuing doing what I'm doing, keep that smile on my face, that spunk that, I know I have within me, just keep showing that to everyone, regardless of the situations, and just keep going.
Great. Thank you. Azim, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think the message really is put your hand up. When you're asked to do some service, put your hand up. This is where you begin the process of spark, right? And then you get to find your purpose because you're born to serve. And then you start to have aspirations, so you're trapped. And then you go through struggle, challenges, obstacles. That's when you come to resilience. And eventually you got a knowing, a zero doubt of what it's all about, right? And at the end of the day, when you die, you don't take what you have, you take what you give, right? You're born with zero, you die with zero, and what you leave behind is the impact you make, and that's where service comes in.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Azim. Thank you so much, Farzana and Tasneem. Thank you to the three of you for sharing such meaningful insights and stories. I'd like to leave our listeners with a quote: "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others," by Mahatma Gandhi. My challenge to you is to reflect on how you can incorporate service into your life this week and see the impact it creates. Don't forget to join us for the next episode, where we will dive into the second element of Spark, that is purpose. For more details about the Ignite Your Spark Masterclass and to register, please visit corporatesufi.com. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Chari Hineda Elon. I am a positive impact wherever I am, in all that I do, however I can. This is Life Expressions.